Hi, good afternoon and welcome to Katie's Garden on this beautiful spring day. Today Catherine's going to be talking to us about how to prune clematis.
So you can say clematis, or if you're less refined like me, you can go with clematis, which is what I'll stick with. So the clematis are split into three different groups, which is according to the way they're pruned. They're all pruned in springtime, and what it comes down to is that the later they flower, the more you chop off now. So the first ones, you've got pruning codes 1, 2 and 3. So 1 is the species ones, which includes things like the Montana we've got here, and which are recognisable. They've got thicker stems than most of the others, and they're very vigorous, so they're quite a good one if you're not confident, because they'll just go for it. And you've also got things like the Macropatella and the Alpinas, which you'll see are starting to bud up now, and they've got quite shaggy growth, so that's how you recognise them. Look a bit like the old man's beard. So the rule with them is, because they're going to flower April-May time, you don't really take anything off, because you're going to be cutting off the flowering material. You can give them a bit of a tidy up after they've flowered, and you can also want to do it to thicken them up when they're young. So you can see here, this is one, because we only let ours grow to the top of the cane and then cut them. So you can see every time you cut above a leaf there, that's leaf buds there, and that will now become 2 shoots. So you can see that.
Catherine, which one's this again?
So this is the group 1, which is like your Montanas, Alpinas, the ones that flower early.
Okay.
Around about they're going to be coming on soon. So you can see there, we've cut that one, and that's produced 2 shoots, and there. So this is going to be a nice bushy plant, because people get tempted. They think, oh, I'll let it grow tall, but actually you just end up with like 3 stems, and then you've got really bare walls. So what you want to have to do when they're young is just to give them chops, always above a leaf bud, because that's where the growth material is. So we'll take there again. You're also looking for where you can actually see a leaf bud, because there's nothing going on there, so that's obviously no point to that. That is just clutter now. So get rid of that above that shoot, and we'll get 2 nice new shoots.
So by cutting above the leaf bud, you're creating growth to new shoots?
Yes, so you keep multiplying it up. So it's worth doing that while it's a young plant and it's low. I said, otherwise you'll end up with something really spindly and then it'll fan out, which isn't really what you want.
Okay.
So your next one is the pruning code 2, and they're called the large flowered cultivars, and that's kind of what you think of as the proper clematis. That's the one with the nice big flowers, pastely, and they tend to be kind of around about May, June time they flower. So we've got an example like there, we've got Mary Brassel, so it's nice big flower.
Let's have a look. So, oh right, yeah, nice big white flowers.
Yep. So the thinking on that now is actually you treat them pretty much like the pruning code 1. Mostly leave them alone, but while they're young, give them any thickening up. And also,
so what are you going to do to this one in this pruning group 2?
I'm going to do a bit of tidying up on this one actually.
Okay.
So you can see there that it has got a shoot, but it's looking a bit sad and pathetic. So actually I'm going to take that down to where there's a nice strong one.
So let's have a look. So where have you cut? Show me again.
Just above the leaf shoot there. So that is going to, one's already going for it a bit there, and that one's going to take over as well, because that one just didn't look very impressive. So it's not essential to do that, but you do get better results. It's quite a nice pottering around on a nice spring day like today. Give them just a tidy up, and again it'll help them bush up. So do that now. Well, I mean, sort of, you can do it February, March time. We're a little bit late this year because it's been a never-ending winter, but we're hoping it really has ended now, so we're fine on that. I always like to wait until they have started shooting, because then you can see what the good growth is, where you want to go to. You then got the pruning code 3, which is like your Viticellas and your Texensis.
Let's have a look at those. Have you got
We've got a
picture
there.
So this is pruning group 3?
Yes. So these are late flowering ones, sort of about July to September time.
Okay.
You tend to recognise them, they've got much thinner stems than the others. And what they do, it's a bit hard to see because it's quite plummy regrowth, but it's growing from the base, so out the ground. And get that in the sunshine a bit.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yep.
So you've got green ones, but you've also got, I said, more plummy coloured ones.
Okay.
So what you do every year with them, because they're later flowering, which means you've got time to cut loads off and they can regrow in time to flower. So you can see on this.
Right, let me have a look. So what are you going to do to it?
There is nothing happening with that, so that is rubbish to us. That can go. And actually there is a shoot there, but if we leave that, you've then got all this ugly bare wood.
Right.
So we are still going to go for a very hard chop, and all of that's going to go.
Wow. So Catherine, what are you chopping down because it's a late flowering, so it's got more time to grow? Is that the sort of rationale behind it?
Yes, because that's always kind of the rule. You don't want to chop something just before it's going to flower, because then it can't flower because you've taken off all the material. But that's got several months to regrow, and you shouldn't worry about getting squeamish and think, oh my god, if I cut it all away I'm going to have nothing. It's the root ball that's the important bit. That's where all the power's coming from. So each year the root ball gets bigger, which means it can just power up. So it can grow easily 6 foot in just a few months.
So to sum up, what are your top tips for the different, you've talked about group 1, group 2 and group 3. Can you just sort of give a top tip for each of the groups?
I think always look for when you can see some good regrowth. If you can't see anything happening much, get rid of it.
Okay.
And always go above leaf shoots, because as I said, that's where the regrowth comes from.
Okay, that sounds great.
Yeah. And just bear in mind that it's a long game with them. In the first year or two, they're probably not going to look that great, but they just get better and better every year. So just stick with them. And as I said, they just get easier and easier, really. There's less and less you have to do each year.
Okay. Catherine, that's great. Thanks ever so much.
Right,
and look forward to seeing you again.